Hey folks, welcome back to the Metal Mill 52 workshop. We're building an LBSC TICH, little 3.5 inch gauge locomotive. This is the book for it. I had somebody ask me this week if I had plans, so yeah, they're available on eBay, and I think the original publisher, or the Model Engineering Press, one of the UK publishers, makes that available widely. Let me tilt it down. This episode is going to be a more in-depth episode of the TICH running on air. It's pretty self-explanatory. It ran on air great this week. I did have to fix a couple of things. I do address them in this video, and you'll be pleased if, in case you were worried, when I published the short with the thing going like a Banshee, I did a test run with a lot lower air pressure, and you'll get to see that in this episode as well. So thanks everybody. If you're interested in this stuff, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Please pass the word, because I do appreciate your support. Thanks, and have a great week, everybody. Running in reverse pretty good. Okay, the good news is it runs on air. The bad news is that there's definitely a lot of, well, there was at least at first some binding. And then what I just found, let me see if I can point this out. This is scary right here. The little pin that holds the piston assembly to the connecting rod here, it backed off, and it's a good thing I stopped it when I did, because it just jammed into that. The nut is still on out here that holds it in place, so, but it's loose, as you can see. So when I put these things together for good, I'm going to have to put some Loctite on there, and it is just scary that the fitment is like that. One more thing I'll show, I did button this thing down with some actual button head screws, so there's no leaks. I didn't feel any leaks. Pretty excited about that, and obviously it ran, so pretty jamming. Okay, I just rotated the wheels and freed up this little button here. It's hard to see, the one I was just talking about down there, so it's not interfering anymore, but you can see how it's backed out. So I definitely need to tighten that up over here, and like I said, put Loctite on it when I do. The other side actually had backed out a little bit too. Can you see a little round? Let me point to it here. Not blocking the light. A little round disc here. It had backed out a little bit too. So where's the nut for that? Oh my goodness, that's the nut. So yeah, these things definitely, they need Loctite. Probably be the best thing. Some red Loctite, or not lock washers, because you don't want it crammed down. It'll make it hard for it to move back and forth because the connecting rod is there. But well, I'm excited that it runs on air. I think tomorrow night I will be going through and analyzing the interference and making little subtle changes. probably will take some of these assemblies apart a bit and just give it a little, it's one of those kind of things, just a wee bit more clearance can make all the difference in the world. Doing a little follow-up here. The one of the things I noticed after I did the first run on air last night, my maniacal running on air with a pretty high pressure, but I noticed in going over the locomotive that the little washer had, I can't even find it. It must have flown off or broken somehow. I think it was just brass here that was here. They were already made when I got the kit. Luckily the pin didn't break here, the 1/4 inch pin, but the old 256 screw, the old flathead screw that was holding everything together, it broke obviously there, so there's a new one to replace it. But I need to make a little bronze bushing / washer to go in that place. Nothing else seemed to be broken or amiss from the erratic running. Let me just do a little quick walk around here. But in case you're wondering why it was so loud and so fast, I was using my large compressor, and I had it was probably about 60 psi, which I didn't think would be too much, but because it's not too much on my big Allen Mogul locomotive there, but on this little tiny thing, that's more than enough pressure. So next time I run it on air after I make that repair, I will dial it down a good bit to 20 or so. In a way, I'm almost glad this happened, because I read the book, and sure enough, you know what it calls for? Not bronze or brass washers, but mild steel. So I got a piece of 3/8 inch steel and just drilled it with a number 41 for a nice clearance on the 256 screw. I countersunk it for the flathead, and filed it nice and smooth on the back, and it fits inside here. Let me just show you. So now I will replace that. I'm going to make another one too, make a steel one for the other side. Okay, there's the new steel washer installed. I got a little brass. That's the only 256 countersunk screws I have, are brass little flathead ones. I might stop by my favorite hardware store tomorrow and see if they've got any steel. Alright, so that's fixed. Here I've replaced the one remaining brass or bronze washer that came with the set, with the steel one that I just made. So I've got steel on both sides and little steel 256 flathead screws to hold it in place. So I think the repairs are complete. I'll get ready to run this on air again, or I need to add more oil to the tank just to be on the safe side. Run it on air again at a very much more mellow, like 20 psi or so. Okay, this is a lot more civil than the run the other day. I've repaired the little loose bushings. I set the regulator on my giant air compressor at 25 psi. So this is nice. And walk it around here. Put the cap back on the oil tank. Very pleased to see this. I wanted to run it at a lower PSI just to get an idea how everything would work and look and sound. Timing sounds good, I don't know. No expert at these little ones. It's a lot different. There's no real pronounced exhaust note on this thing, but it does, sounds like a little sewing machine to me, which makes me very happy. Gonna run it for